Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
It was great to
That's
meet
awesome.
you. You too.
That looks great. Well, I'm gonna assume, I haven't heard anything from Karen that she wasn't gonna be here. So, and you didn't see her bouncing in there, so. Why don't we, I mean, these guys get set up and we can take care of on our agenda. The first item is the minutes from our last meeting.
You want to use these?
Any discussion? Anyone need a copy to look at? If everyone was good with that, we could check that off the list.
Just a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Perfect. So that takes us right to MRB. How's that?
That was great. And last, it was a great segue. Yeah. Yes. Musical chairs. Yes.
Thank God for wireless keyboard.
Just in case anyone does hop on, I'll just come and share and kind of mimic what Tom has. Just so everyone knows, the goal of our meeting is obviously to provide feedback on what Tom is presenting, but also to be able to present something to the town board. It doesn't mean that the plan, we're not approving anything, it's just conceptual. And hopefully at the end of this meeting, we're at a point where we feel comfortable asking the town board if.
Yeah, when would you want to take this to the town board?
I'm aggressive, so I would like to do it in March, but it'll all, it's very dependent on how
No,
we feel during
I
this
guess
meeting.
my point was saying is like, it's not
Lindsay,
like,
I don't know.
it's not like all your feedback has to come
No,
tonight, so like,
no.
but I mean, obviously relatively soon, we would need to get as much feedback as
I
possible.
did talk to Doug because I
Yeah.
told him.
Well,
I'm
my
being-
concern is there's a lot to process and then,
Absolutely. So, but
But-
what he said, what we should just focus on is like, are we ready to ask the town, or, to present to the town board that we would like to move forward in some way with the uplands? It doesn't mean
With
that
the-
every
with the-
decision has to
Okay.
be made, or this is set in stone, what we're proposing.
Yeah, that's probably the number one thing I would probably want to at least relay to everybody is it's definitely not set in stone. This is just, it's a lot of ideas. And it's definitely a work in progress. This is obviously a little bit more finished product from when we started, but there's a lot of flexibility here. So if we like certain things, or we don't like certain things, we want more of one thing, maybe there's something else we need to consider. We just want to get that feedback so we can get this, as complete as possible before we exit, what we would call the concept phase.
It is really a satellite view. It's just big pictures, kind of examples. And so from our last meeting, which was near the end of October, we came away with a couple of things. We came away with the property boundaries need to be better designated. We came away with a sense that this upland park really needs to be tasteful, modern, incorporate the natural elements, yet we still want some rustic feel to it. We like the trails. We like how they interact with the spaces. Parking was an issue. Accessibility to the cabins was another major component. How do we access the cabins that are up along the sides here? How do we access the cabins along the west side of the property too? Just getting from your parking area down into these spaces can be a challenge. Other things that we came away with too, which were again, improved access, the majestic views, sledding, the waterfall, all those natural elements. How do we incorporate it into a future plan? And where do we go from here? How do we get that 4 seasons that Sarah Linda was showing on her mapping to encourage and promote more of it? So what I've handed out here is what we're calling basically a pattern book, and it's a idea book, or just examples, and we've come up with a kind of an overall concept plan.
Tom, before you get started, so this image is obviously blown up before we get started. I just want you guys to make note of how big our property actually is and what space we're working at. Because looking at this, it's like, oh my God, are we taking over the entire uplands with all, we're not, there's a lot more space.
Right.
So,
Yeah, 73 acres. No, it's perfect. It's a huge area. What we're looking at, oh, maybe I can grab the mouse for you too.
oh, sure. Do you want to take the seat?
Yeah, I don't want to take this. So. So as you enter into the park, we have our windy road that comes up here, we have parking. We took a fresh look at walking. These trails are very gradual. And I feel that this could accommodate a better access to come up through to get up to our upper cabins. I know our current access is this very steep, direct incline that you come all the way up here. You have a turnaround in this location and there's an existing pavilion up here. I think we could, carefully and craftily work with the trails so that we're not disturbing a large area. Keep our road base and width narrow enough to provide for emergency access, yet still, respect what we're doing with maintaining this vegetation, maintaining this wooded feel. I think it really presents people with a new opportunity, to come in, feel like you're entering into the woodland area. And then you have King's Hall over here where you can now provide some ADA access. You have parking to provide for, guests unloading into here. It wouldn't be all of it, obviously. We can't accommodate that. We still need this parking down here. One of the other features would be trying to loop this road and providing better circulation in through. I think this could be done. This would be a little steeper. It's kind of similar to what is going on this side. This would require some retaining walls to accommodate that. But overall, it would improve just kind of the circulation. If you can't find a spot here, you can at least maybe drive around and find one here too. So as we enter into the park area, our goal is really to get you into the upper area, the area that Lindsay just showed. The large park has a huge potential. Again, this would be some additional parking areas for access down into this site. We have some additional parking here for maybe a pavilion, shifting this pavilion location to maybe providing some cabins in these. These spaces really designate cabins, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
And none of the cabin locations are, these are not final in any way, shape, or form. They can all kind of slide around, but the big thing to kind of at least take away from what we are showing is the principle that we want the cabins to be more accessible. So to be more accessible, they need to be near a road, because the current scenario for most of these cabins, anyone with any sort of disability is probably not going to make it to any of those cabins, because you got to hike all the way across that big huge hill to get to that location. So it's very unfriendly from that standpoint for someone to utilize these facilities. So it's just natural to want to get the cabins closer to wherever I can get a vehicle relatively close to. Plus, coming off from that road, if we're on the high side and then we're trying to feed cabins to the low side, we should have the ability to get the ADA access all the way into those particular cabins. It wouldn't necessarily be all the cabins, but definitely some of the cabins will probably highlight a much more accessible egress ingress to those cabins versus some of the other ones. So you probably get a little bit of the spectrum of more rustic, more rugged, in the woods kind of feel, and then you can also have ones that are, obviously more accessible.
As we have come up to this lower or higher level elevation, basically additional parking, we shift from a 2-lane road into a 1-lane circulation. So you have this movement for emergency accessibility. It completes the loop of allowing people to come in, go around here, and then come back out. Let's say they can't find a parking space here or spaces up top. We can at least come back around and then work our way back down to parking and through here.
Is there a reason that the traffic crosses there instead of taking a right off that and going that way around it, or?
Going this way?
Yeah,
We can do that.
I didn't know if there was a purpose for, I just was wondering about crossing traffic instead of,
So just have the
Yeah.
arrows go the other way.
yeah, I didn't know, well, I didn't know if there was something to do with the grade going up a hill and down a hill, or,
No. I
Some
think
of it could, some of it could be just great, because you're kind of in that forward mode.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the fact that you pass this entrance, this may be a little steeper coming down, but we could look at that circulation. It's gonna kind of all be bedded out.
Yeah.
In the design. I think, people wanting to get to these cabins are gonna try to short circuit that in either direction. Maybe this becomes two-way all the way up to here, or we'll have to work on that a little bit. The dark dashed areas are actually the trails that Sarah Linda and Sherry put together. And so those are highlighted on this map, so you kind of have an update of where they stand now. This would be a future ADA restroom as well as a pavilion area. This could be 4 seasons, it could be open to seasonal use. These are designating basically camp areas where you drive in, you could park, set up a campground location, and then inner camping areas in through here.
Can
So-
be tent or trailer or
Tents.
Tent, yeah. Focus on the tent.
Yeah, that,
and below.
The upper loop that's there for the one-way, everything inside that was all thought about tent camping. And that was part of the reasons for that loop was, most people that are tent camping, if you've gone to any of the 80K sites, you want to park your vehicle within a certain distance of wherever you're camping, because no one wants to lug all their stuff,
Right.
right? So that was part of the reason why we thought, in addition to the circulation and safety aspect, was to create this loop to go ahead and open up this area for tent camping.
We'll come back to that, because it's a great discussion. What do you want for tent camping? Do you want a platform? Do you want a dirt ground area?
Yeah, you can go with a mix, right? You can go lean-tos, you can do, set, they have like essentially like sandboxes, so to speak, that are really just set up for tent camping. There's a bunch of, a fire ring, if you're gonna put a fire ring into the sites, possibly a picnic table of some sort. Each site should have something there.
So we'll go through, there's a next series of pages that we'll just kind of go through quickly, and we can come back to them and get your opinions on each of them. The first page is just kind of highlighting boundary markers. How you guys feel that you'd like to delineate some of the key boundary locations? You could do it with a split rail fence. It doesn't have to be working from number 1 over to 5 here. And so number 1 picture would be some sort of split rail. It could be just these 2 posts with angle down, and it's spaced out every so many feet to something linear that you look. This is currently what you have at number 2 photo. Basically some signage with some wood railing. The third picture on the left bottom is also just kind of, if you have a very high hazard location, putting up some sort of metal fencing, some wood on the top, or we could just do some posted signs as well. I don't think we're going to do a complete linear rock wall like number 4, but it kind of highlights that maybe we could have some outcroppings similar to maybe photo number 5, where it's, as you're looking down, you see that these are repetitive, that they continue on, and they're noting something. It's something that's tall enough that will pop up over the snow, so people are walking across them. U.S. Forest Department in number 6 photo over here kind of spray paints and attaches their signage to it. Shifting to the second page here is trail markers. How do we want to mark our trails? Oftentimes in the survey field, they're very reflective markers. Just a little bit of light at nighttime. If someone's out walking, you might be able to pick up a row of markers. And these can be in varying sizes and shapes. There are the traditional wood posts or plastic posts that say, up ahead is a campground and tenting area, or there's horse trails or biking and walking. So it's kind of that number 2 photos. Number 3 is really the fiberglass and same type of thing. It's very simplistic, but it's not overly complicated to install, but yet it provides some clear direction on people walking. You can list their names on it. Number 4 is really what you guys have now. It is the markings on the tree. And as you guys are aware, they can come in multiple colors,
They're not reflective though.
but they aren't reflective. Agreed. They are difficult to see at times. Being the colorblind guy, they can be hard to see. So over here, the ropes, I just thought this was kind of neat. This is pretty simplistic. It's just a post with rafted ropes, but it provides some texture to it. It provides some clarity of what's ahead. And it's kind of neat where you designate it. Trail surfaces all over the board on different trail surfaces. Again, working from our top left to the right along the top is a park trail with some wood logs that line their way through. This is kind of unique. You see kids and adults walking and balancing on them. You have the hardwood board surface with some ADA runners along the side so nobody can fall off them. Again, number 3 is actually what you guys have right now going down to some of the trails and gazebo areas. This is strictly some wood line, and also these wood steps. Trail surfaces, number 4 over here is unique. This is actually pavement, but they've set it up so moss would grow on it. And you think it'd be slippery, and it might be, but this is actually in Cook Forest State Park in Pennsylvania. And it kind of creates that green ribbon that runs through the whole park area, which is kind of unique. Number 5, do we want bike trails? Do we want additional width to accommodate that? Number 6 is, do we want asphalt, which can be very nice to walk on? As it warms up in the wintertime, it'll melt off just because of the heat of it. And so that's kind of a nice effect too, that allows for different seasons. I really think whatever we choose, we need it to be something that is contrasting in color. So it's clear definition. So you can see it. Maybe it's stone industrial, maybe it's stone or sand or some different gravels that we mix into it. So you can see it in multiple lights, different conditions. The photo number here at the bottom right is mulch. I would stay away from this. It's just difficult for ADA accessibility. There are maybe some uses that you could put it around a sign or something, somewhere that didn't need it.
In number 1, that's not mulch. What is that?
This is kind of a combination of some wood chips and maybe smaller. This is another park out west here. I think it's a combination of gravel and different blends. So we talked about some cabins and the needs for the cabins, and where we're talking. Let me jump back over to the map. It's really kind of these zones into here. Pop up the map again. So again, cabin opportunities, they come in a wide range of sizes and narrowness to square to rectangular. There's cabin areas that we could poke in through here, or even hide them and put them into the forest areas, which would be quite unique and offer a different experience than what is being offered right now. They may not need a clear view of Canandaigua Lake, just the fact that they're kind of tucked in here. It also provides some good opportunities in rental. These are produced by Lancaster Log Cabins. We kind of talked a little bit about them. They come in different situations, and as Greg mentioned, here is the ADA accessibility, where you can come in the slope away for the ground. You have a foundation on this side. This would again have to be, we want 4 seasons, so we want to insulate the bottom, provide maybe some mechanicals in there as well. And, that was one of the things that we came away from our last meeting too, was, the age of the utilities out there. We have the water, we have some sewer, some septic issues that all need to be addressed and worked on.
That's another purpose for this road. It does give us a known corridor to run, water. Versus I think right now it's like, helter skelter across the site. So it gives the opportunity to bury it to the appropriate depth, so there'd be less concern of it freezing. That way it allow, get us to that 4-season condition.
Would you do septic, like a giant septic system to accommodate them all into one area instead
We
of?
would. Right now, your septic system is down here, and so we could expand this area We may, I think for the upper cabin area, we would want to do it at one up top. I think it would be good location.
Mhm.
There's no need to. There may be some different other opportunities that would, position them around the site and accommodate that.
There's no sewer on the road that,
No. We could do so. You can pump it somewhere.
That's a different,
That's
that's a different route.
These come with, different things, screened in, so instead of tucking them in this way, I mean, they look, they rent them out like this, so people don't mind them this place. Here's another inside look of that same type of cabins, very, very nice, modern, they look clean. They come with a bathroom, they come with a kitchen table, kitchen.
So I've priced these out. They look expensive. In the grand scheme of things, they're not. So for example, one of the cabins that comes fully furnished is $30,000 and they just drop it on site and it's ready to go.
It's 12 by 32 or 12 by 30. That's the size right here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Would sleep 4 people, it looks like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, they have like deluxe versions and the most expensive one would be 60. And
60
that's with all the bells and whistles.
60 down to 25 or
Yeah,
something in
yeah.
that range, guys. But
You're gonna spend, a decent amount to get anything. It's gonna be 4 season, but
Mhm, mhm.
that doesn't
But you could do it for 30,000 a unit.
yeah. if you're-
Without the insulation and all that, right?
No, they
No.
come
They're
as 4
probably
season.
insulated, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like-
okay.
The only thing it wouldn't include is the foundation, and
Oh,
we
okay.
would need to create an insulated chase, obviously, for the utilities.
The next set of pictures and kind of ideas again and concepts and inspiration are, this is up in Whitetail Woods Regional Park in the Dakotas. It's kind of, and it's just very basic, it's just 4 squares, but it gives you kind of that porch feel. Again, you guys have this very steep terrain, so it allows you to kind of extend out into the park area. Again, parking could be on the top side, or there may be just a trail into it. And, they're tucked in into this area, or they're tucked in over here too. We did work with a guy who was interested in doing log cabins and tree forts. I don't think we're gonna be doing any of those here, but
I
it
think
was,
it's Swiss Family Robinson.
it does look like this.
There's a couple of those in the Adirondacks. They're booked out
Yeah.
for years.
Oh, I'm
for
sure.
Years, right?
I mean, if we're looking at having a versatile camping experience with the uplands, I mean, who's to say down the road we don't explore something like
Mhm.
I
that?
think it'd be cool.
I get excited looking at these.
Yeah.
Like especially that number 2, that square one, like
Yeah.
how freaking cool is that?
I'm gonna say there's a lot of wine being drank on that part.
I say we all have to try it
Let's
out.
Photos 3 and 4 are what you guys have. So you have the outlook. I want you guys to think about, what do we want to do with this? Do we want to refurbish it? Do we want to keep it? Do we want to close it?
You wanna make it ADA
Do we want
accessible?
to make it ADA accessible? Again, we gotta have the pavilion or access over here.
Granted, not all the trails that are there are not ADA accessible, but I'm sure people with some level of disability are finding their way around some of these trails, so, and obviously whatever we can do to make it easier is probably a good idea.
This is another company that also makes log cabins. This is Cedar Forest Products. They are on state bid through Architects, which we have been working with on.
The inclusive playground.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they have different sizes. They have, they're in as fancy a photo or picture as the other ones, but there's potential different configurations. There's a 1-bedroom with a kitchenette and dining living area and a screen.
Any idea where Ontario County Park gets their prefab cabins?
I don't, but we can.
We just have to reach out. I mean, do you know what the contact is for
Yeah,
Ontario
I can
County?
find out.
I can cut it out, my email, I can email Tim McGill.
Yeah.
I'd probably the way to
Yeah.
figure it out, but I
Not
don't know
friends yet.
who with Tim. Tim's a good guy.
Still not working.
Yeah, join him on LinkedIn. So on the kind of the pavilion that we talked about briefly, which would be maybe here, or we could do another pavilion too, kind of updating your existing pavilion. this could be something that is also kind of, it's a package deal that you can get. It comes with a fireplace, which is nice. In the back would be your restrooms. You could do bathrooms as well. There's have different positions for the fireplace. You put it on the end here. This could look out towards the camping area off to the north side. We could go and close this too. There could be another opportunity too. Maybe there are some of those historic panels on these walls that talk about the history of the park or things to look at in different trail locations. So just some more
Once you
ideas.
decline.
Here is,
That's a good market. Well, close.
here's some different areas, just the conventional, very simplistic restrooms. Here's another example of kind of these already ready to go, restrooms on the back. They come in a variety of situations with metal roofs and. We talked a little bit about lean-tos. Photo number 1, I thought was kind of neat. I don't think we would be building these, but the lean-to has a chimney built into it. So
Have you ever done any work with any of the, like, in the Adirondacks, some of the places use the composting toilets and
Catherine Valley Trail has those. I don't know if you guys are involved in that project.
no, but
We're familiar with
composting
composting.
Yeah.
toilets, Yeah.
it could be
Restrooms.
Yeah.
So that
they
you,
have like a full rush room. I mean, just thinking maybe there's an area that we can't get the water to, or we can't,
Correct.
save cost.
So they require maintenance too.
Right.
You gotta go in, spray.
Right.
with the peat
Right,
moss and,
right.
So they.
Hear that, Andy?
It's not the.
It's like, I can't wait.
The septic system, conventional septic system is definitely more easier. But you're right, for tough situations, I think they are. These are just kind of some simple lean-tos. Photo number 1 and photo number 2 kind of shows them corralled together. Photo number 3 shows you tenting inside a lean-to. Photo 4 is the idealistic glamping. Which,
Yes.
Yeah, I figured you would like that one. I'm on board
Love
there
number
too.
4.
Number 5, again, kind of shows some ADA accessibility, how you accommodate that. There's different versions, maybe this doesn't provide as much protection from the winter. Photo number 6 here, but open, very simple, allowing people to camp and set up. We talked about campsites as well. And this photo number 1 is good because it kind of really shows that you would maybe set up a pre-designated area for tenting. You get all those rocks out where I seem to, every time I camp, I hit the rock, another load of rockets are always under my tent.
I always get the roots.
And the roots. So these would be kind of areas that would be set up to allow for, easy staking in. They'd be well drained, so you're not camping in a puddle. A picnic table and an area that not shown here where you could park and unload and set up for weekend or week events. Number 2 is just a cool photo. It's the idealistic camping location along the lake. And number 3 is same type of thing. Maybe it's a platform that is constructed. Maybe it's tents that are already set up that are rented
A lot of the
out.
Girl Scout camps do this.
I support number 3 also.
Yeah, well, but I'm just saying, like, this is for a lot of the Girl Scout camps. My daughters have all gone. And they're all set up like this. They're just a big platform with a, canvas top.
Yeah.
They pull them down at the end of the year.
So we're getting close. Numbers, page 16 is kind of amphitheater. We talked a little bit about amphitheaters. We looked at this for another project too. Kind of neat feeling of tucking it into the woods. We talked too about doing an amphitheater maybe off the back of Kings Hall too, maybe presenting off, but maybe there's a location further in that doesn't have to be this big. It could be smaller if you wanted to take, once you get up here, maybe there's an opportunity to do an amphitheater somewhere else. So it's a little, shorter walk, or it doesn't have to be a large area, but it could be reading zone and reading gardens that we talked about too, kind of hideaway space that you discover as you're on the trail. Additional pavilion concepts. this is just kind of get some more ideas again, guys. There's a traditional look, there's a modern look if you wanted to go super modern. There's the wind screens where you're just putting up a very, some tarps, but these are very expensive tarps on top of these structures. We could do solar panels on some of the areas depending on access. You could do maybe solar panels on a pavilion or on some of these cabins too. These are constructed with metal, and so it allows them, even though there's a wood structure under here, and it looks more rustic and feel, they're very simplistic wood metal structure. This photo number 7 and 8 are combined. So when you're looking top down, it looks like a leaf, and when you're looking up, it's green. It's got that little shadow that projects onto the ground. Number 9 here is just kind of unique. It kind of looks like a coconut.
That must be in a place where it doesn't rain much.
Yes, I would. So, these are some very all over the board ideas, guys, in a wide range. And so I'd like to maybe take a few moments and just kind of go through some of the things that you like, some of the things that we could dial in closer. Maybe you guys have some photos that you want to think about and send along to us too, like this is a better direction.
One of the questions I would really have for you guys is really just to think about, have we covered the uses that we want on the uplands? Tom did say, do we want bikes? Those types of things, we've really focused this more. A lot of the uses that are here are basically all of the existing uses that we've kind of catered it to, but maybe just enhancing it, really looking at safety and accessibility as some of the highlights, and then, creating these 4 season spaces. That's really what we've been focused on. And I'm just saying, maybe we pull our nose away from the paper a little bit and then start talking about, do we cover all the uses that we want in this space? Do we need to consider horseback? Do we need to consider biking? Do we need to consider, obviously we've considered sledding, but
Horseback represents a
Snow-
whole host of different
Right.
problems. We own
Absolutely.
horses, so where you parking trailers,
right.
where you
Yep,
putting
absolutely.
manure.
Yep.
So it's,
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we're ready. My feeling, I'm a horse person. I don't think we're ready yet.
I wish
Right.
we
No,
were,
no,
but
it's
we're not.
again,
But
talking
bikes, I'm all about. I think we want to.
talking points.
Yeah.
But snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, there's a plethora of other uses that we really haven't, put into the stew just yet. So those are the types of feedback that I think would be good to get from all of you guys is, are we on target with what we really want to see for uses in this space?
Well, obviously we want to get as many seasons out of it as we can. So I think, something like cross-country and snowshoe will just lend itself because you won't be able to plow the trails or anyway. So that will lend itself, but we have to advertise that part of it and maintain those trails. We can maintain the trails for either of those activities.
Some of these pavilions and stuff like that, maybe those get expanded so that you have a place for, snowshoe rental.
Right.
Those types of things. Because I go back to, when I was a kid, we used to always go out to Beaver Lakes Park.
Mhm.
I was like in Ballsville. So we used to rent the snowshoes and we go snowshoeing, and then they take you through all of the trails and around through there. So that's just from my memory, but I'm just saying that those are types of things you want to kind of incorporate and understand if you're going to have that, if you're going to have buses queue into it, where you're going to drop off a bunch of kids. Are you going to queue that at a location as a launch point? Are the trailheads going to be the same? Because obviously, the conditions look different in a winter condition versus a spring and summer and fall condition. Maybe some of your trails change to give you a different look and feel as you go through the winter season that allows you to cross-country ski in different locations or cut across different areas.
So
You
with
can go
bike-
think about Lake Placid. Lake Placid, when it freezes up there, people drive across,
Right.
right? So I'm like, just different avenues and different things to kind of think about.
Would bike, would you just modify the road to incorporate like a bike lane, or are you talking
trails.
Yeah,
have to make
bike
sure
trails.
it's pretty wide.
Well, that's,
But
yeah, what are you guys thinking on bikes? Do we want bikes on the road? Do we want bikes? on-
I'm not sold on bikes at Onondaga.
You're not gonna stop bikes on the road, but I mean, I ride my bike there now.
Right,
Yeah, I
right.
mean, so,
I guess what I like about Onondaga is I don't want to go, I can go to Ontario County Pathway, or I can go to the Auburn Trail and hike on a paved stone dust trail. What I like about going to Onondaga is hiking through the woods.
but then you run into ADA,
Well,
that's the issue.
are there something, I mean, do all the trails need to be expanded to a certain ADA level, or?
I think we
Not
at least need to
necessarily.
designate.
Certain,
Yes.
right,
But the path and the material of the trail needs to be designated enough so that people aren't creating their own trails.
Right.
and a lot of that I think can be done with signage and some barriers and things like that.
But do
But the-
hiking and biking kind of coexist 100%?
Hiking and biking don't coexist so well, in something, if you go to Dryer Road Park, you know, that's a
Right.
big bike area.
Is that that's the one with Victor?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so that, my buddy, I almost put that together. So Brian's really good at, and that was some of the things I was thinking of, do you want to have, like, you know, that bike little network intermingled in here, maybe the trails aren't the same, maybe it's just a separate, you know.
you would almost
run.
have to do that for
right?
those single track guys, because they
Yep.
go flying over rocks and trees, you know. so-
Right.
But I guess I'm not sold that
Yeah, I'm not-
the Onondaga Uplands is the spot for that. I don't feel like
Right.
it's that vast of a trail system to. I mean, you can hike up one trail and you can see somebody going down the other trail, you know?
But it's a big piece of property that we're not utilizing fully, when you think about that. I mean, in my mind, if we don't do it, we want to at least have that option of looking at that somewhere down the road, because I do think you need separate trails.
I mean, there's like a little pocket part of that where it's like, you know, they create like these dirt hills and
Mhm.
ramps and inclines or whatever. I mean, you have, you know, some areas here where you can always manipulate to give you that experience of you, maybe on the other side of the gorge is where you want to try to push, you know, a lot. It's not.
If
as
you
much-
build it,
there's not
people will
much-
come there and bike. I will
Right.
just tell you that. I mean, if you've ever been to Dryer Road, you know that
I think
it's,
the terrain is,
jam.
the property is narrow in a sense.
Yeah.
Even though it's a large parcel, it is
Mhm.
very tight. It doesn't really afford kind of a break off area to biking. I mean, even in here, it's all gorge and valley, and so.
Right.
I don't know. I just sense that the focus of a place to go hike is really big for people in Canandaigua at Onondaga.
Right. But I guess what I would say is like you have this other, if you
Yeah,
did
that-
get into like
Little
doing
thumb
like
area.
a dirt
Yeah.
loop or whatever, I mean, you've got some space down here where you could.
yeah, I don't not necessarily, I agree with you. I don't think that in that main area, I don't think they would mix that well.
Do you bike over here?
Yeah.
Okay, so this could be our bike.
Oh, no, I bike.
He's a road bike.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah, he's
trail
probably.
biking.
No,
going up
trail
the hill.
bike. I ride my
Yeah,
mountain bike
I'm
up
sure
and
you
down
do.
all the
You
time,
found
yeah.
bike
yeah.
there. Okay.
Which you can ride your mountain bike up there. The problem is if you start doing that in the summer and there's
Right.
a lot of people on the trails, it's not wide enough.
It's not wide. enough,
It's,
right,
they're not gonna coexist.
Yeah.
because-
Well, there's many hiking trails in the Adirondacks that you can't take your bike on because people are hiking it.
Yeah,
It's
well, I
banned
mean,
nowadays.
even look at,
Dirt
you know,
bikes.
Monroe County parks, I mean, you can't bike in those, so, I mean, they chase you off all the time.
I'm not, my other, I'm not sure how many big pavilions for big gathering spots. I mean, I like the small nature of kind of a camping area that's not attracting huge groups of people.
Right.
I think we might have other spots in the park that accommodate that.
Do we?
And maybe even the lowlands is a better spot for that type of activity.
Yeah.
than-
Yeah, I think
than-
we
Yeah.
really, I think we show, what is it, there's a couple pavilions up here, and like, I think we're really just trying to consolidate them. The only reason to have like a mini pavilion up at the one location was it basically is you're gonna have your restrooms and
Right.
whatever else, right? So,
And it makes sense if you have a camping group and they all want to get
Oh, yeah,
together.
that's
Yeah. With a common area to kind of meet.
So what,
and we like the pavilion at the top, of the kind of, at the
Down
top of the
here,
sledding
middle of
hill.
the Pavilion.
I mean, like, it
Yeah.
creates a great little spot, sorry, did I say?
Yeah, no, you're good.
But it's a great location for it, because now you got a place where, you know, people kind of, the parents can actually kind of like chill and watch their kids go down and, you know, crash and break
Set up
legs.
your hot truck.
Yeah, and if you have a fireplace like that one pavilion with a fireplace, it's not,
Yeah,
gonna get
it's-
warm and without going inside
So-
anywhere.
what would your, and I know this is gonna be a huge question, how many trees are gonna be cut down?
Oh, jeez.
It's a great question.
And I mean, when you look at that, I mean, all of a sudden that
So-
area is green. Is it green because the trees have been cleared or is it?
No,
green?
no,
No,
no.
no,
Okay.
no, no, no. This is really open area designated as, to keep it as a wooded section. It's just showing potential for this zone. to
Yeah,
be-
someone's gonna have to walk in and like, stake out
The
spots,
greenery is so high on these pine trees and. you can
Right.
easily
Yeah,
look
there's
over
space
into
and
it.
Right.
around.
So more like photo one, the camping area. They're
Yeah.
gonna be intermingled amongst the trees.
Exactly.
Right.
The only place you're just gonna have to have like, some, the outer tent sites, you'll wanna have like a little pull-off area, but all those things can be kind of, fit in to try to minimize,
Right.
I mean,
Our goal is really to follow the existing
Right.
trails.
Yeah.
And if you say that, oh, I really like a section and I want you to avoid this section, we could pull the trail this road backward or away from it and still keep the trail. I think most of the areas that are currently trails, they're flat, they're cleared, and they have enough width to accommodate it. These pull-offs would be close to the road too, so you allow you to just kind of come in, you're not carving in a large
And
area.
you minimize the impact by one-way road. I mean,
Yes.
Right.
so it's gonna be, that's a nice thing.
but that was the key thing, is that road, I think will make the tent sites actually work. Because if again, you can imagine having the tent site like way up, I mean, some people will hike in, they'll throw all the stuff in the backpack and
Right.
they'll kind of come from this area, but I think most of your tent camping activities are mostly gonna be like, it's gonna be families for the most part. It's probably not like the major hikers that are hiking the Marcy Trail.
And
You know,
the reality is,
context.
it's easy to make those ADA compliant
Mhm.
if you pull right in. I mean.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do we like the adding more cabins in different locations, kind of clustering them and providing some different, advantages that haven't been presented before, maybe something that's in a forest section or.
I do. I like that. I like that idea of setting some aside. And we can add to it, like, we don't have to do it all at once. We can,
No, right.
phase it in over time,
Mhm.
see how it goes.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I like the phasing in. I was just gonna say, I don't know how much of a campground we want to start running.
That's what I
Well,
was wondering.
that's,
I mean,
there's 26.
There's campgrounds not that big in the state,
And you have to have a lot of, cleanup and garbage collection.
You're gonna have
people
to have
maintaining
somebody
stuff.
there all
I was
night.
gonna
Right.
say, you're gonna hire someone.
So
You would
I mean,
have to.
that's,
Right?
Yeah.
So that's
That's
some of,
I mean,
that's some of the reason for some of these pavilions as well, is it
Yeah.
gives you a place where if you
Gatehouse or
had,
something.
if you had someone there, sometimes you want to have some place where, if you forget your toothbrush, whatever, you got a place to go get a toothbrush, right? So,
We want to provide a benefit to the community to allow them to experience more of the park. Really aren't disadvantages. And I think you limit the use of the park by the parking spaces.
Oh,
And that's all.
Right.
I think the access is the biggest piece of this whole puzzle.
Well,
is-
and
is
any of the
having-
existing ones are all, I mean, you
Right.
have to be a Girl Scout to get to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're not, you're hiking through something.
And I mean, there's the refurbishing some of what we have and adding a little new compared to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 26,
yeah.
I
Most
don't
of the,
think our
most of the
current
existing structures that
cabins-
are up there are all
Yeah.
in great condition.
Yeah.
So-
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But I think
And
to your
as I said
point,
before, like,
phasing.
Yeah.
Cabins are really only here, so we're adding 3, maybe 6.
I think the intent is for the ones that are along the,
These are all tent sites.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
but those cabins that are along that one edge, I mean, they're just gonna phase out once they're no longer really usable. I don't think the
Right.
intent was to
The
go back to
original.
those locations.
Right.
Yeah.
These original are gonna have to phase out. Just because of their age, just because of their accessibility.
I mean, I think looking at it, it seems overwhelming when we look at it as a whole, like, oh my God, we're gonna add all these cabins, these tent sites. But correct me if I'm wrong, but it should be done in phases. This isn't gonna just happen overnight.
This is gonna have to be done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
so we can adjust, you know what I mean? Whether it's staffing in 4 years looks different than it does, in 2021.
There's an economy to scale too. If you're gonna have 3, why not have more? You're gonna have to hire someone to do the 3. I mean, why not put more in?
I would think the biggest expense is the bulldozing and creating of all those roads, that's gotta be real expensive.
Well, and
Right?
utilities.
Utilities.
We're doing the utilities at the same
Yeah.
time. That's, even if you put that in, then you've gotta put in all of the other stuff to kind of make use of that, right?
I think there's initial phase is, providing better access to Kings Hall, getting you guys up here and
Yeah.
using that. That could be a phase, maybe the next phase is
Right,
taking it up to these cabins
Mm.
and replacing the cabins. And a third phase could be kind of this loop road section. But it's really kind of outlining a plan and a long-term goal. It doesn't all have to be done. It can't all be done. just
Yeah, this won't be done in 23.
Maybe it'll take that long. Maybe there isn't a demand for what we think or what you guys are visioning as well. It's just,
Oh, I think there is a demand. I think if they were up to date things that people could access relatively easily, like you build those, any of those little cabins, you have pictures in there, those would run out like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was, I guess that was one of the things that Doug was kind of talking about, was trying to push some of the cabins, not all of them, but into a more of a 4-season. So you could get, some utilization also through the winter as well.
Mhm.
what you do is you build the new cabins and you keep the old photos up. Taper expectations. Okay.
Do we have a heavy demand for the pavilion on the lakeside, and that it's kind of overlooked, or?
I mean, I can tell you right
Hard to get.
now, in July, we're booked solid for our
Okay.
rentals, our pavilions, the facilities on Lakeside.
Wow.
No one has rented any of our pavilions in the uplands at all. But I think that has to do with the fact that you can't access them right now
Right.
at all. I mean,
Yeah,
You guys
that one
know.
pavilion.
You cannot get to
If
it.
Yeah.
I show up and I've got, coolers full of whatever, I'm like, who's gonna move all that stuff?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen anybody in there as you're out walking and using the park?
In the pavilions.
In the pavilions?
I mean, there were people
I haven't
sleeping
seen-
there
Okay.
that shouldn't be sleeping there.
It's covered structure. What do you mean?
They're taking their tenting experience to a different level. But aside from that, I have not. Those are the only people I've heard that have
Like, used it.
used it.
So, yeah, maybe it's a reduction. Maybe we don't build that. That's a phase 20.
Right.
It's a phase future. I think having an area where, like we talked about, sledding access would be nice too. But I think as soon as you provide more parking, you're providing more uses and more accessibility.
Yeah, I think the road is the changer in the whole thing of getting people to the spots where they might utilize stuff. Like you say, if you have something on the top, even King Hall, that you can access easily, people will sled more, grandparents will go up there to watch their kids and.
Yeah, I know, my dad would be, if he had 88 access to that pavilion, he'd park there and watch the
Right.
kids go down
Right.
the hill all day long. So,
Let's jump through these kind of quickly. What do you guys feel about boundary markers? Have you kind of established what you guys want to do? Do you have other key locations?
We gotta do
I think
something
a lot of
different.
a lot of these things I think come so far down the road that right now let's see.
Well, we've got to do something.
Oh, no,
otherwise-
we're currently talking about marking the boundary with
Signs.
signs.
The neighbors have.
Yeah,
Not
Yeah, immediate use.
already.
I don't see us, I guess I don't see anything other than signs out through the woods.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of those purple paint markers
Yeah.
around now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They're a lot cheaper than putting signs up in, or.
the signs weren't bad. You
They
have
were
250
reasonable.
signs for
It's not like you need-
$1.49 each or
Right,
something.
but
You
It's
really
not-
want to leer the whole woods
So-
with signs.
right. But the thing is, like, a lot of when you're talking about the property lines and denoting where the property line is, it's not necessarily you need to do it for the whole property line. It doesn't have to go the whole way. It's just really where your trail becomes incidental with the property line, because you don't want them to go the other side.
right.
So you might have that split rail fence, great idea in those limited spots where you're kind of close.
Yeah.
I mean, it just gives another visual barrier and a cue that, that fence is there for a reason.
And it doesn't have to be a whole fence. It could just be one section, 2 posts and just angle down on each side and space out maybe 200 feet or something, just kind of looking down the little barrier.
Go to the park down there in Watkins Glen, there's a lot of places where that, because it's adjoining private property, there's a lot of places where they basically put a fence in or whatever along those areas. So it's, not just to prevent people from falling down into the.
The gorge.
Yeah, the gorge.
Well, the neighbors are complaining.
Right. And
So, I mean, that we do
Right.
have to do something.
Yeah, so we
Right.
so we need to respond to them. I
Right.
think we need to respond to them in with enough of a effort to show that we're trying, to keep people on our property.
I see, yeah, we talked about this north line is very crucial. That is a key point.
We're gonna head out. Excellent. Thank you so much.
The north line is definitely key. We have the hunting, we have the other activities, and then the gorge. This is always going to be a challenge because, you have people wanting to walk up channel, and you have also the overlooks too that kind of promote people to.
Is there a part where there's like a river walk? Is there a part where you can,
No.
it's on,
Not that you're supposed to.
Not that you're supposed to, but people
Okay.
do walk up the
Yeah.
ravine.
Right.
They don't advertise it.
It's part of what, yeah.
All right.
I've looked up it many times.
well, I mean, I was a kid. I mean, we walked up at anytime there
So
was
do
like
300
water.
middle schoolers.
Yeah.
we Walk up there all the time.
I think the only other thing was what I really wanted tonight here too was just kind of trail markers. You guys are talking about doing the updates in the kiosk, which is, I think, everything that they put together was great. Where do we want more signage? How do we want to designate these trails? Now that you have them, these seem pretty.
Well, is
basic
that
and
something we throw in the
simplistic.
kiosk?
Well, not just in the
What our
kiosk, but
markers are?
Out on the
Out
trail.
on the trail.
you generally wherever,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Intersections.
yes, wherever you have adjoining
Right.
trails, you
And
want.
we have some intersection mark. We just need to do a better job, I think, with.
We have to decide what kind of
What's
post
that?
we
Yeah, we
want.
need
'cause
better trail
We
maintenance.
need that.
Right,
there,
and then because then you want it consistent all the way throughout.
Right.
Right,
Right.
and you want one that says waterfall this way, I mean,
Right.
that kind of. thing.
There's, right, signs up there that someone made in shop class with their router.
Right.
Is kind of what is up there.
Right.
Yeah, at these key locations, go here, you're back down.
Right.
North. Yeah, or west.
Here's the hard one.
This is our one. Trail surface. I don't think there's a set that you need for uniform across everywhere. I think there's gonna be certain sections that have different.
What trail do you think requires the least amount of maintenance?
Probably paving. I mean, that gives you the longest duration. It's probably more costly to maintain because eventually you gotta resurface the pavement, right? So that's.
So other than paving, because I don't think you'll ever agree to paving any of that. but-
Well,
but-
you can
so-
do the paving with this moss deal. It's impressive.
Probably most common is stone dust.
Stone dust.
But there's
cheapest.
areas where depending upon, you have to look at the lay of the land, where the water's going, and the steepness of it, yeah. Stone dust likes to be on relatively flat surfaces.
Yeah.
That's where it stays. As soon as you put it on anything that's got any sort of pitch, that stuff wants to go. So there might be areas where you have to intermix like some sections of paving or hardscape.
Yeah.
And then switch back to the stone dust just because of, you're trying to get water across the trail
We've done
or
that
it's
too,
too
where it's
steep, right?
Stone into a concrete area that gets a lot of water and wash out and then they affect the stone too.
I mean, my vision is that like that wood walkway and stone dust. So you put that, the heavy erosion areas. I mean, because you really want to keep people on the trail just from an environmental impact standpoint,
Mhm.
Well, I'm still number one at the most. I go to Onondaga
So that you
hike.
couldn't
I- you
possibly
know,
get that, you can't possibly even consider that ADA compliant.
We have
Maybe
three now,
sections of it,
right?
maybe,
Is it? so
Yeah, not
we have
every
three?
trail has
Three is
Right.
us.
Treated the same way.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
me is you.
right, I think maybe we identify at some point an
You,
ADA compliant, but
right, so maybe you make a spine trail that is more you have like one loop, right? And then like all these offshoot groups don't necessarily have to have the same kind of treatment.
right,
That's also good visual cue.
Right, like that one main trail
Right,
around the
the one
tent
that
site,
where it
maybe.
goes up the hill and it comes down.
Right.
That way, if someone
Stone.
comes off a trail and they come back to the trail, they know,
They know they're
okay, I'm
there,
on the
yeah.
main loop
Right,
now, right? You know,
Right.
there's a lot of good things and positive come away from having that differentiated.
So you're saying we could have like an ADA compliant
Section.
trail, like that's designated.
Like a
that
main
way.
trail.
Yeah, a
with
main
spurs
trail
off
where
it,
you're
yeah.
gonna have like, maybe a better or more robust service put down.
I think the only ADA accessibility is gonna be crossing through here.
Yeah, going.
Okay, because this is gonna be the flattest zone. Everywhere else is gonna be.
Too much pitch.
It's too much pitch.
Well, it might not be in the ADA in the conventional sense of.
Or we could say
ADA.
ADA friendly.
Right, there's definitely shades of gray on the AD. I mean, if it's state funded, straight state funded, then yeah, you gotta follow the ADA rules.
That's be
But,
10 feet wide, right?
well, that's for a multi-use trail, so you might want something wider than, sidewalks probably 205, but you want to have something that's
At least
open
about two
enough.
people opening the side by
Right, so
side.
maybe that's a 7-foot wide trail or something along those lines, but as I said, there's kind
Hey,
of,
wait a minute, maybe you don't want it 7 feet. What do you guys want?
Right.
How wide do you want your trail?
well, if you go, I mean, the only thing is you get that super narrow and,
It's too tight.
all it takes is like a parent and a kid going across each other and then you're smushed up against something. Just happens in Letchworth. Anyways, but yeah, so you can make something that's kind of close. And then, as long as we sign it the right way, I think you can kind of comply with the spirit of the ADA rules. You may not necessarily have the 2%, or the max, or the max 5%. Yeah,
You guys engineer the switchback trail?
no, that
I was
was,
gonna ask that.
that was, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't make a lot of friends.
Or sense.
That was, yeah, I was there when that went down. That was one of those, hey, what about this? And then they were the town was about to say no to the development and they caved and said, yeah, sure, we'll do it. No one knew how much that trail was gonna cost that time. So
So,
the state
I'm
forced it.
hearing consensus on stone as well. Or,
I guess I'm struggling with what we're deciding right now. We've got 14 pages of great ideas and I don't know why we're going through and picking one right now for each.
you're not, you're kind
Oh,
of helping us get
okay.
an idea where, after today's meeting, where you guys are thinking. You're gonna think about this and then come back to us and just kind of say, hey,
Not as an absolute, but I mean,
Right.
if, the collective committee thinks that, we like this type or that, we could see someone number 6, someone number 7, maybe someone number 1, whatever, that's fine. Again, it's mostly trying to get everyone's ideas out. Because the last thing we want to do is advance this thing in a vacuum and then, come at the end and then we're like, I'm not really in favor of it, right? So that doesn't help us. So it's good to get the feedback as we go through the process.
yeah, we're throwing it out at you tonight and we're trying to just get your raw initial take and then.
Well, most trails that I see are stone dust. I mean, or they are some combination, but if you go to the Adirondacks, there's stone dust and wood trails. Anywhere there's the ability to erode the stone dust, there's something else.
Mhm.
But it seems to be a good surface. It's solid. It's, you can roll a wheelchair on it, if you pack it down.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like we're definitely opposed to having any kind of like concrete
yeah.
type
Yeah.
surface. And then just where it makes sense, I mean, different components.
I like the spine with the spurs off it so that you get a good solid main trail that people could walk on and then
Yeah, I mean, I would see that maybe one.
you tree huggers can walk off into
Yeah.
the weeds.
Hey, look, I'm on this mission to hike every fire tower and I haven't been on any stone dust on a fire tower trail yet. So.
We don't have a fire tower here, though.
Yeah, we need one.
But I know that that's why people go and hike at Ononda is because it's not a stone dust trail.
Okay.
I know that for a fact. I know that from kids that hike it. I know that from,
I like the immersive wood experience.
yeah, you have to wear hiking boots and maybe even a hiking pole. You know what I mean? That's
But
the
then,
vision
but then
that
I think you eliminate a whole crowd from that as well. I mean, so right now we've got the put on your hiking boots and hike in
But we,
Onondaga, but
but we also have other parks in town that might meet that need. We have other stone dust paths. This is a section of town that we could have another type of trail.
I think you have multiple trails.
and that's what I think. I think
Yeah.
you do a combination of
Yeah.
both.
You have a dedicated trail loop area that someone wants to park, do a quick loop around here or.
Yeah, it's definitely not gonna be the longer
This
loop,
could
it's gonna
be-
be a shorter loop.
I like number one, because it's just, you said it's got a mixture of stuff.
But Lindsay, you know, there's people right here in town hall that if all of a sudden you say, oh, now it's gonna be a
Oh.
stone dust trail, we're gonna get huge public
Yeah.
pushback.
Yeah.
And.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm good with an idea of a, you know, okay, one little trail here that meets a different need, but
Overall, trying to. keep
right,
it more-
we have other town parks that can meet some of these other town needs.
But none of them are wooded.
True,
I mean, they're
True.
they're
Right. Miller.
they're cornfields.
right,
That
Right.
were, you know, people put
Right.
whatever in.
I think there's a way to develop it so that you're
Getting both.
accommodating both.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
right.
So, because, yeah, you don't want to overtake every trail and turn it all into,
Right.
you know, this one type of trail, it's all stone. dust,
Well, and we
whatever. And I
can't-
completely,
Because
completely understand
it'll get
that.
Washed away the first rainfall that we have.
No, this is perfect feedback. I see where you're going and how we can help present it that way. Cabins, I leave this up to you guys to get back to us on what your thoughts are on cabins and stylistic. You want more cabins tighter? Do you want more cabins spaced apart? Do you want the 4-season feel to it?
I think, my opinion, we definitely want the 4-season
Yeah, I think
feel
so.
to it. I think it would be the big draw.
Do you see them getting rented in the winter?
Pardon me?
You see them getting rented in the
I
winter?
think if they're snowshoeing and.
Yeah,
I think if we
cross-country
offer
skiing,
more.
Do
I
you
do.
make them all 4 seasons or a combination?
I think sorry.
yeah,
I think a combination.
Yeah,
you're
I think
right.
having them all would be too much, at least at this point, because we don't really know how that's gonna go. But I'll tell you, I mean, I drive up there all winter, just checking out the parks, and it is freaking gorgeous on the
Mhm.
uplands, looking at the lake. Like I can picture just this beautiful cabin, a nice fire on the inside, drinking some coffee, being cozy and warm, and having that view.
Right.
I
And,
mean,
and I mean, and maybe I'm not the person that needs to think about staffing for parks either, but that presents a whole new component that currently the park staff doesn't have to think about in the winter. Suddenly they're turning over cabins, they're,
We
you know,
also have-
plowing access to the cabins and salt and slippery and all that stuff, which is,
We have a lot of community people who say they're not even being used as it is. Our parks.
But they're not usable, but they're, I mean.
Right, oh,
you
right,
can't
right.
access- You can't access them.
Right.
And they're not 4-season either.
I'm talking about just the park itself.
Oh, yeah.
The summer.
But we're trying to do this so that people will use the park more.
I think it would be
I
nice to
get
have an option to see how it goes in an early phase and then,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, maybe you set a pod, you create, 3 of these as 4-season initially as part of your phase and see how well it takes. And then, as demand dictates, you do more.
And even if you decide that you're not gonna have, you're gonna have a 3-season one, make that so that you could make it a 4-season if demand. Like, could we winterize the utilities
Mhm.
somewhere down the road?
Easily.
Yeah. It really just, you just drain the line and
Right.
turn off.
and
the
I mean, I have a current seasonal employee who has expressed interest in wanting to work for us year round, who specifically turns over the cabins for us in summer and does a great job.
Listen, they do it on VRBO. You put a gigantic deposit down, you leave it dirty, you keep their deposit. It's not rocket science anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Well, and then if we have this new driveway, I mean, in winter, the accessibility piece, we can finally have access to it. And it's
Yeah,
like,
no one wants to turn down cabins when you gotta, everything's
You
going with a
can't,
4-wheeler.
you can't.
Is there a possibility of having just hiking camp spots, so you don't have to put all that infrastructure in place right away?
We did, I mean, that could be the south side here, that's park, hiking, camp. Do whatever you want on that side.
There's no, I guess to answer your question, I don't believe there's any way we can enhance accessibility without this road.
Yeah,
You're 2 separate paths at that point.
but there is a clientele of folks that
Well,
would
scroll back.
That
just
want, that
walk
wants to
in
Look at the
back in.
main-
with their stuff on their back and camp.
I mean, there would be a way to limit that loop and have a few walk-in tent
Yeah.
sites.
Yeah, you could, I
You
mean,
could
we,
park at
we-
that,
we talked actually about, maybe siting lean-tos deeper into your trail network.
Yeah.
Because you've got all this space up here, we're only down in the
Right.
lower
right,
half or.
right.
So you could get some lean-tos up on this bar and for,
This
but
might be
I will
something
say
to
like,
mention.
obviously, those particular locations, my experience, at least with my trail hiking days, they don't get utilized that much. I mean, it's really, that's a very, very specific
It's a very small
clientele.
group.
And- And the other issue too is there's a lot of people that hike that and all suddenly you're walking by 5 lean-tos with,
Yeah,
my
people, music, whatever.
23-year-old son sitting there with his
You could put
buddies,
some
you know,
spur trails off of that upper area, just to put the lean to.
right,
Yeah,
right. Well, then I think
Spur 'em-
that, yeah,
Spur them off the main trail, so
Yeah.
you wouldn't
Yeah.
walk by.
right.
right.
There's a good cluster area. This is wide open. There's a nice bank of trees up in here that would allow you to kind of.
Yeah, I definitely think wherever you site these things, you're gonna wanna have a focus on privacy to some degree.
Yep.
Right?
And there's a very concerned
From
landlord
both-
that lives just over
From
the border
both,
right there
from
too.
both parties, right? From the people that are walking the trails and the people that are staying.
Right,
Well, and the reality is you're not putting any camping sites out there without some kind of latrine. So I mean, we're not doing that, you know what I mean? We're not putting these,
right.
way out in the middle of nowhere without some kind of.
Well, you could put like the composting
Composting.
toilet, I guess,
Yeah.
way out, in the one location.
So that's why I think it makes more sense to do those if you're gonna camping sites, I mean,
They need to be kind of more. close.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you have to have access to.
I just hate
The bathroom.
impacting the hiking. I know that's, the uplands is a place to go hike.
Some of the thought on these cabins.
And if we had a little bit of camping,
Disappeared, tucked into the woods.
Right.
Do we have any idea of utilization on people that use the uplands? Do we have any idea on that?
I would say, I guess I would say to look at like, try to find a park that has similar, that it would be looking more towards this type of camping and look at that utilization, just because Ananda doesn't have anything remotely like this.
Mhm.
You're not really gonna be able to reflect on
but
any
you
past
mean
data.
just how many people are driving in there on
That's what I
Tuesday?
mean, right? How many
Right. How many people
people,
go
how
up
many people
that
are actually
road?
driving in there
To
to
hike.
park and hike?
Oh,
I
Right,
think it would be surprisingly low. I'd be shocked. Other than the 300 kids that hike, middle schoolers that come through, excuse the numbers, but.
Can we throw
Well,
one of
I-
those road counters on the driveway?
Put a trail
I see
camera
a
up.
ton of cars parked in the uplands and they're clearly not renting our cabins
Right.
or using the hall.
We went down there back in the fall and I bet there were 9 or 10 cars there.
Yeah, I think quite a few
They
actually.
do, and it's all
But-
times of the week. I mean, typically my
Right.
days to adventure on the parks are Thursdays, which is, a non-busy day, I would say, and
My point is that if we do some of this stuff, I think if you build it, they will come.
Mhm.
Whereas now I think it's incredibly underutilized. I mean, we talk about, oh yeah, it was crowded, there's 10 cars. That's not very many people.
I think it'll create more.
I
if
do
we
too. That's what I'm
this.
saying.
It'll
It's like,
bring more
if you
people.
build something like this, I think that it will be, so word will spread, people will talk about it. It's nice to hike, it's nice to do this, you can camp, I think it would be great.
And I think we have a really good advantage too, if there's any, different options that we want for hiking, we can add, this is the time to add that too.
Mhm.
While we're doing all this work.
Yeah.
I personally feel excited about
Me too.
even just the concept, right? Like right now, we're just talking through concepts,
Right.
nothing set in
I
stone,
think it's a great,
but
especially the access part. I think it's a great,
That's the
I'm
key
just
to it.
not
That's huge.
sold yet on how much of a campground we want to become.
And I think
as-
that's
as a
fair.
town
I
Parks
think
and Rec
that's fair.
department.
Absolutely. I think that's something like we just, we put maybe 3 cabins in and see how that goes.
Right.
And if we're booked solid, then that's our
Right.
answer to keep going.
Maybe this.
But
will
Mark,
come
we
down.
are a campsite on the lakeside.
This is true.
That's what we
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
I
but
mean, that is
right,
what we do.
right, but
And everybody knows that.
But I don't know if we want to expand it to this,
It's not all we do. on the
Extent.
west side.
right?
People drive in during the day and just, they
No, I agree.
swim,
Right.
and they leave.
I agree. But those cabins are rented on the
Yeah,
lake.
I
We're-
definitely
we're
think we
already
need
booked.
access improvement. I think we need better cabins to use like we do on the lakeside. Maybe I'm just bothered by how, and maybe I'm getting caught up in the picture more than the concept.
But it's a lot. I mean,
You
it is
know,
a lot.
it's
You're
the
not looking at it.
It's the green blob.
Yeah. And it might be the green block.
There aren't any
Well,
trees
I mean, there's a-
down down there, Mark.
I know.
We're gonna integrate those.
I know.
It does have a lot of tent sites in this particular area, I mean, we can, obviously, that can be scaled back, but I mean,
That's a big
that can
area,
also,
though.
that can
But-
also be scaled up.
Yeah.
We are struggling right now to get someone to be in charge of Parks and Rec, the recreation program, a dedicated person. This is a full-time job.
Well,
Full-time jobs.
This might attract them.
Right.
and
Right.
That could bring
And
that.
maybe
you
that's
only
not
don't
my
get someone to
decision
do a
make.
job because you don't pay them enough.
So-
I mean, that, at the end of the day,
Right.
that's the issue. So if you're trying to pay someone,
That's just my concern is that it's
Right.
asking a lot.
Well, that's not for this discussion. This is a different discussion.
Right.
That's a different discussion about, okay, we want to do this, and then
The house.
the higher,
Well,
the higher
we'll figure
ups,
that, they'll
the
figure it
higher
out,
ups will say,
right?
yeah, we're not paying to do that. No, we're not gonna do that.
I like when you said phase 1, phase 2,
Mhm.
phase 3. Maybe if it was spelled out in phases, it would.
Because I think that too will dictate how much further you want to go after
Of course.
each
Well,
phase.
and-
you know.
I think money's gonna be the question about
Right.
phasing it into. as well.
That's
That
probably gonna be
wasn't-
the bigger obstacle. more
That
than
wasn't the
anything
last page. It wasn't a budget analysis, was it?
No, there's no budget yet.
But I mean, I think the most important thing on that whole thing that I see is the access. I mean,
Absolutely.
Once we build the access
Absolutely.
and we can add it piece, we can piece it in.
I mean,
We put-
I can see phase 1 to me is going up to the camping loop, not the camping loop, going up to the camping loop. And possibly adding 3 cabins somewhere, either, I mean, either there or there, not gonna be down by the.
But you have to add a restroom in there somewhere. Somewhere there's gotta be a restroom. So if you're gonna add it,
These
You
have
you
restrooms.
have the existing restrooms.
These have restrooms.
there,
And
that's a
these
ways away though. I mean, if
No,
you're-
these
No,
have.
no, those
cabins.
Oh, no, no, I
have
understand that,
restrooms.
but suppose I'm hiking like Mark,
Yeah.
you know, and
I've never seen you hiking
You
there.
gotta get on your bike and you gotta go down.
I mean, what, I'm just talking about cabins. I'm not talking about restrooms for the hikers. We don't have that now.
Right.
If we add cabins, they have restrooms in them.
yeah, no, I get that part of it.
Yeah, right now, here's the existing pavilion, so maybe it's, all right, right here are your existing cabins that are positioned here
In tough shape.
in tough
Yeah.
shape. So maybe these are the first to go and we get you up to this spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
That's it.
my opinion really is like, I think it's a little premature to talk about phasing just because we have zero clue on budget.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think budget's gonna be the bigger driver, like how big of a, it's an elephant, right? So how big of the chunk do you want to pull off?
So from us, you kind of, you want direction from us on how the scope of.
Do
how
we,
much
do we,
this-
yeah, do we like the idea of the accessibility? Do we kind of like the idea of the 4-season cabin? Do we like the idea of the tents? Do we have all the uses accommodated here that we want to look at for this park? I mean, I don't know. Do you want a bocce ball place here? Do you want a pickleball court? Do you want to, whatever? Like, I
No,
guess my whole
no,
point is
right.
like,
Yeah,
That's what we had said at our first meeting.
Yeah,
was-
okay, good.
Right.
we kind of had a checklist too.
All right.
I would encourage you guys to go back through that
Yeah.
checklist.
yeah, now
and
that you've
just kinda-
seen this,
Now that you
Yeah.
see this, focus on the uses is key, like Greg was saying.
Yeah.
What do you
just to
want
make
out
sure
there?
we've got it covered. That way we take this to the town board, we should all be on
Yes.
board with what's being shown here. That's
Yeah.
all.
And maybe, is this a real priority of getting access to Kings Hall right now? Is this the priority of this first phase? Or maybe we recognize that getting up here, trying some rental cabins, making some improvements, making the first leg of this stretch, which is a heavy lift to get up here with a road, is our first option. And then maybe this is the second, improvements to the Kings Hall location.
So if you did do that first loop as a road, would you put in utilities at that point in time, just because it's gonna be easier to do?
Yeah, I would definitely run the water. Without a doubt. You're gonna put the water main next to the road.
Right.
Water main, electric, all,
Yep.
kinda
All that stuff.
getting all that up here, getting it prepped. Maybe it's not turned on all to its fullest potential, and maybe we're just kind of.
Just thinking about where there's currently water coming in now. you would think it would make more sense to go all the way around to the road and back up with utilities?
All here? all the
No,
way?
no, just to that
King Hall.
parking lot,
Yeah.
to right
Yeah,
there.
It'd probably come off Kings Hall, run something, because you're gonna spur off to each of these locations. Because right now the water main, my understanding is the water main kind of like jumps from one point to the other point.
And
Doesn't it
Chris-
crisscross even?
Yeah,
Chris Ross is, there's piping here.
and it's shallow and it all, all has to be blown out
Yeah,
to
actually, it
winterize
comes
it.
in through here. At least this is what it's showing on the map.
So it's
Here.
probably chasing the
And
points
over
of
here,
use,
yeah.
right? So
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
So there's a, those, the bathhouse that's,
And to make these 4 seasons to be your initial trial, and maybe it's not the initial trial, maybe just getting up here and Beverly Cabins is. This would maybe have to get improved, it would have to get improved.
Right.
It's currently drained.
Right.
So maybe the first year is coming up here, getting road, establishing cabins, building them to be 4 seasons, but they aren't. The second year is a utility infrastructure improvements, improving the water, improving, additional septic expansion for maybe some additional locations throughout the park. Opportunities are endless.
So, the opportunities are endless, and that's the scope of the thing that kind of goes, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
To you, so we've got a lot of discussing to do
Yeah.
as a committee to determine what we're looking at, what we come to a conclusion as a group to move forward. Yes?
I agree. I mean, you were hoping for what type of answer for Doug for the
No,
next town
you
board
just-
meeting?
You just gave us all the answers that we were hoping for out of this meeting, guys, and I think. to go
Just
back to-
direction.
Yeah, direction, that we're on the right page, and that you guys have like what you see initially. and-
So.
Yeah, we're not even close to having details.
Yeah, I just would almost propose, instead of another meeting, like our regular meeting, we maybe meet again in a week or 2 weeks to discuss just this and where we think we should head. I mean, because otherwise, our meetings are
Right,
it's a month from now.
What are you gonna do with the information from tonight?
We're gonna compile it, we're gonna think about it, and then we're just gonna wait for.
we're gonna wait for your
direction
additional
from you guys. And
feedback. Yeah.
We're hoping that we provided something tasteful, modern, incorporated the natural elements. Kind of all those concepts, and we're gonna wait until we hear back from you guys.
When you go to the board,
Well, it's really dependent on, if
So
we're
there's no
happy with
rush.
the
There's no
direction.
rush.
There is
Oh,
no
okay.
rush. There is
oh,
no
all
rush.
right, okay.
Because what has to happen is obviously the town board has to approve even the conceptual idea of the
Right.
uplands.
Yeah.
And then we would have to hold a public meeting after that, where we get the public's opinions and all that, before we can even think about proceeding with the details. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. you have to do a
Yeah.
I think
couple
maybe I'm getting too
comments.
caught up in the details.
You would,
Yeah.
yeah, we need to get
Yeah.
to the end of concept and then we'd start a schematic. And the schematic is when we'd start, looking at more of the engineering side of things, the, constructability of certain things, and then also start building some budgets. Then from your schematic, that's when you're gonna, once you know exactly how big of an elephant that we have to kind of consume, how you're gonna break it down at that point in time. And those details will kind of work their way out through
Yeah.
schematic. And then eventually from schematic, then maybe you move into a preliminary final design phase on phase 1, right?
We're getting caught up in the details.
Yeah.
Yeah, and right now
There's
it's
the
just,
devils in the details, but the details aren't ours.
Yeah,
We know.
Well,
we
not
should-
yet.
Tom was right. I mean, like this is your satellite view. So I guess that's really the thing is, and can you look at this and say, yeah, I can buy into pretty much all of this, or I like everything, but this one thing right here, it has to go. That's the type of stuff, right? I know the green blob has to go away.
You come, you
I'm
put
not-
that purple, it'll be fine.
No,
Right.
you know what, I guess I'm not. I don't know the scale of it, I guess, for that little circle. I'm not,
Right.
I would walk across that.
well, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go down with my map and,
And feel what you think.
Yeah.
I mean, is it too tense? Maybe it is too tight for all these cabins. I think too.
it seems like a lot of tent sites that are gonna create a lot of tough times for the park staff trying to manage that space.
But hard on the park.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you're gonna get natural ones just popping up anyhow too. even if you maybe don't establish some of these, people are gonna say, hey, let's go camping and just tent where they want.
Well, again,
which-
once there's access,
Yes.
Right.
we know that once there's access, people will show up.
Well, that becomes
Easier
our,
to get to.
well, that becomes our job, no, only tenting where there's a site,
Right.
right? I mean, you go through a state park in the Adirondacks and no one's camping outside the, right, because somebody's driving through and looking at it,
Right.
so,
There's
right.
enforcement,
Or you
there's
just
encouragement. not to
Park
do
just
it.
outside the site, which I used to do all the time.
I think from a town board standpoint, I think just hearing that you guys are meeting and talking about it, and then also it's in some of their budget is to look forward to the future of maybe purchasing some of the cabins or.
Yeah, we do have in the budget right
Budget.
now for one cabin to be replaced, which we've carried over, I guess, the past 2 years now. So there is pressure in the
Yeah.
sense that we need to use that money for one cabin. That doesn't mean we have to, oh God, we have to pick which one, but
Right.
you know,
Right.
But
supporting.
we should strategically look at that with this in mind,
Right.
because we
Right.
don't want to
Well, of
move that
course,
cabin.
of
right?
course.
The other really good part about having something along these lines, if we get to some place where, you know, this committee is happy with it, you can take that and then, you know, go off and look for grant fundings for, you know, parts of the development of this
Right.
particular
Yeah.
park. So that's another key element to kind of consider. But we have to get to a point where, you know, everyone kind of buys in at least what they
Everybody
see.
wants to take this one.
Right, yeah.
And then the little details just follow suit after we figure out cost budgeting. I mean, we can't even talk about what kind of cabins or,
Yeah.
you know, what we're doing until we know how much, but we can't get there unless we support the general idea of this to tell the board, we think this is a good idea.
I'm
go in
really
this
good with the accessibility. I'm just not sold on how much camping and
No.
stuff we're adding in. But we talked about the accessibility back in our master plan,
Yeah.
you know,
Right,
4 years ago. Just because we should be doing it
right.
anyway.
Do we all agree on the fact that we do need to replace our cabins?
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm
Yeah,
not saying the
absolutely.
number,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
many, but
Yeah.
we want an
Yeah, we
update on
agree on
that.
that. I think, I don't want to, I agree with Matt, I'll speak for myself. Obviously, the accessibility for sure, I mean. We can't get to even the cabins that are dilapidated, we can't get to. them,
Right.
so.
Right. We can't get to them to tear them down.
Makes no sense.
Yeah,
Minor detail.
minor details.
So are we good maybe digesting this a little bit and
Yeah.
getting together through within the next
Even
week or
email,
so?
or
And
whatever, however you wanna do
touch
it.
We could
base
even
and-
do a Zoom if that's more
Yeah.
convenient for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah,
and just,
Yeah, if you Zoom, you could, you know, I'm sure Tommy and myself could
So-
jump on the Zoom.
Okay.
Not too much of a problem.
Did you have a spot for an amphitheater in there at all? or
No.
Or they just didn't make it
Well,
cut?
No, it's in there. It's just an idea, guys.
Yeah.
it's an idea,
It's an
not a
idea
spot.
for a
Right.
spot.
Where?
It's for you guys. to
Oh,
think
no, it's
about.
not on the map.
Oh,
That's
it's
Somewhere around
kind of-
King Hall, I think, is because of the way that,
Topography.
yeah,
Okay.
is what, when I remember we were talking about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that idea too, Dan, that's- if you're liking that idea.
I mean, there could be a spot further west here that would be a nice kind of, oh my gosh, what is this? right
We got
here?
that giant campground there, though, we can't put an amphitheater there.
We could do
in the green spot?
In the green spot.
Stage, speaker towers.
Yes, right. And noise, all those are issues too.
Yeah, we gotta keep the sands happy, but you have to choose the bands carefully, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what else do you need on from us?
We're good.
Because we should probably at least
Thank
pretend we
you.
looked at these other things on our agenda.
I have more
Just-
copies if you guys.
So,
know. You want
Guys, I haven't, this is, I know I'm sounding like a, you know,
We
pain
can
in the
create
butt,
like
but
a,
I've enjoyed this.
we can put like
Oh,
a big
yeah.
giant zip line all the way
Yeah.
down the lake.
Yeah. I'm in.
Don't zip line.
But it's a lot, it is a lot to digest and a lot to think about. But don't get hung up on the details just yet. That, there will be plenty of time for that.
So Lindsay, you probably have a PowerPoint all
Thank you
made,
guys.
don't you?
Thank you so much.
Guys, thank you.
I do,
Thank you
so
so
here's my
much,
thought
guys.
though, we've spent a lot of
Okay.
time, I can table some things till next meeting, but there's one thing I would like to update you guys on, or
Sure.
maybe two, if that's all right.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I know the RSM property was brought up. I did speak to Doug, and the town board is considering all points of view right now. So you know, there's people that are in favor of that property, but there's people that are not, so it is not tabled. They are still in the process of taking in all things. Yes, exactly. So that's not a definite update, but they're still discussing it. So that's a plus.
Do you know, does the town still have an option to purchase that? Wasn't there a,
It's my understanding that there is.
Okay. okay,
But no one has come to a decision just yet. So like I said, I'm gonna table a couple things, so bear with me. Okay, one thing I don't want to table
Oh.
though is, okay,
told you,
talking about
nobody here-
utilization of our parks,
nobody
right?
here is gonna have any, they're gonna think that's a great
Okay,
idea.
so Babcock, which is the building closest to our beach area, is currently being used for nothing. I am proposing that we use it for birthdays at Babcock, to rent it out as a facility. During the times that we have our lifeguards on staff, so June 1st to Labor Day. Obviously, it's super appealing to host an event right there, especially for kids. We would just need to purchase folding tables and chairs, a refrigerator, which I do have that money in the budget. And then I would just need the Parks Committee to, recommend a fee.
I think
For
50's
that?
cheap.
You think
I
it's
think
cheap?
50 is cheap, but you gotta start there.
Yeah.
Cause you know what I mean? You can always double it to 100 the
Yeah.
next year, but you're trying
Just
to
to
get.
see,
on
I just
people's-
want to gauge.
Right, you wanna
how
get people
that is.
interested in it. And honestly, you might wanna be the cheapest place around to rent. You really might, then
I mean,
fill
to
it
be
up.
honest, for what that building is currently, I
Right.
think it's fine. I mean, there are restrooms right in there.
We wouldn't provide any food, nothing, just.
No.
Nope,
a
just a
spot.
spot.
Okay.
Yep.
What does Babcock rent for right now for the day?
Nothing, because we don't rent it.
Okay.
So this would be a start.
It's a good
Um,
idea.
Yeah, I
just to
think it's a
No,
good
that's
idea.
awesome.
So I would have to just bring it to the town board for approval for amending the fee
Yeah.
by your recommendation, and then talk to Jean and then just start advertising it. But I would love to do that if you guys support that.
So when we say $50, do we put a time, like you have it for X number of,
So we can follow
Hours.
suit with what we do with Gorham for the half day rentals, like you get it from 9 to 2, or,
well,
from
because I almost wonder if
whatever.
it was a 3-hour party, maybe you could do 2 in a day,
We could absolutely do 2 in a day.
you know? I know at the Civic Center, you can come in and
Yeah.
have an earlier birthday party and later.
Yeah, our lifeguards typically start at 9 AM, so we could
Yeah.
always have a party start and do like a 9 to 12, give time to clean in between. So I'd say about an hour because the space isn't that large. And then like a 1 to 4.
And then whoever at the party, the first party wanted to hang out till the afternoon, it's nice. to
They
have-
can, and they
stay.
can, yeah, because
Right,
we, I
right, use the
mean,
beach,
yeah.
you just lose your access to
Yeah.
that, yeah.
so
Idea.
it's just a thought.
Good thought.
Are you guys okay if I,
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
yes.
okay,
I will, yeah.
awesome,
100%.
thank you. I have another idea, but we'll talk about this next month. I do have recreation updates from Heather from the city. So we are gonna proceed this year as we did last year, where the city will run our programs for the summer. We're also gonna be splitting the cost of our senior recreation programs for this year. Anything outside of that, recreation wise, that'll just be a cost to the town.
Is she still hoping to get a flyer out by March 1st or
She
not?
is, yes. So she has that all established. So March 1st, all the.
Because I would like to
programs-
have the movie nights and the concert, a flyer about that in that program.
I'll update her.
Do you
on
know if
that.
if the city's planning on doing any movie?
They
night
are,
or- Okay.
they are, and I do believe it's in her update in here.
Have you talked to her about our dates that we have come up with?
Not yet,
Okay.
not yet. Oh, goodness. So for the camps, this is just a cost breakdown of what that's gonna look like for this year. I'll send this PowerPoint out so you guys can read it. It's very wordy right now. But they're having their movie nights August 13th and the 27th at Baker. That's what they established.
Ours is the 26th at Outhouse.
So I can talk to her because I do believe that this is flexible.
We sat here and talked to her about it and said, we're doing a
Well,
movie.
we're doing ours.
Right, right,
Yeah, it's
So we're doing ours
happening.
in 26, right?
right.
Then it's up,
Right.
the ball's in their court.
So then she's also looking at getting together some Special Olympics type things, especially with, Motion Junction. That's more than likely not gonna open by July 4th. We're just waiting on funding and grants and all that, but we are pushing to have that open as soon as possible. But she's got a really great background in special education and programming. Just continued some art camps that are new this year, GG League for e-gaming. That'll also be in our brochures. Again, I will send this out. You can read it just so there's no surprises.
This is what I'm really excited about, though. It's a get out and play day. So it's to encourage our city and town residents to utilize our park. So we did meet with Oksana from Special Events today to get just some help from our Special Events Committee, since they don't really have anything planned for this year. So it's basically going to be a sponsorship program. We're going to get sponsors to come to our parks. There's raffle tickets. The goal is for one day, people just explore as many parks as they can. We're hoping that the sponsors will entice people who wouldn't normally go to a certain park to come. And then they can put, you know, the more tickets they have into a raffle basket at the end, and then we pick a winner. And it's just a free way to encourage people to visit parks they might not have ever known or thought about visiting. Like, I didn't know Jefferson Park was a park in the city, and it's a skate park. That's kind of cool. So I just didn't know if you guys would, you know, what type of involvement you would like, or if you would like me to just ask if there's anything we need, I just come to you.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. That's all I have.
That's quick.
Sorry, try to make it real speedy.
Boundary signs. I mean, I really think we have to nail something up to the trees along the boundaries up there. I
I
just,
think we need to do something.
We
yeah,
need to do something because we told those people that we would do something.
right.
I
So we
just,
gotta
so
do
my
something.
cousin was able to do
Saw it,
that
saw it.
thing, so
Yeah.
I sent it on over. Let me know if there's issues with the
Yeah.
file.
Where's my quote? I mean, did I send out the same yellow sign that they use on the Vista project?
I think you did.
Yeah. I saw it.
I mean, that's a heavy gauge, plastic. What was it to get 250 of them? It was,
Couple
$300.
Yeah.
I did ask them about a purple sign, and they said they fade. That's what they said. They said that they wouldn't recommend purple.
Those, I mean, I,
I know, I
they're
know.
going up everywhere.
I
I
know.
just see them more and more and more. I mean,
It's a cardboard with a hole in it. So it's pretty
purple paint.
Yeah,
Right.
but that doesn't say to our neighbors, you know, all that says is here's the boundary. It doesn't say, please respect our neighbors, and
So-
that's my whole goal is.
So maybe we do a combination of
Yeah.
paint and then, you know, so that we're not, not a row of signs, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Right.
So-
But I also think that the sign should, along what we were just talking about, but they should really be, where are we struggling with the borders? Where are we getting that close to the borders? That's where we should concentrate a bunch of signs. Hey, this is ours, this is theirs, leave theirs alone. And then when we're not even close, when the trail's not close to the border, we don't.
We don't
need
need
any
anything,
signs.
right, yeah.
Or, you know, up on the actual border, you know.
That's why
scattered.
my place, like in the Adirondacks, it blazed yellow, like
Right.
every state border
Right.
is blazed yellow, so you know.
But
You're-
even
you're
on,
off.
even in the Adirondacks, you do see those signs that say, please respect the neighboring property,
Yeah.
respect the easement where, you know, the snowmobile trails, you know,
Yeah,
don't go off the trail or you're gonna
Right.
lose it.
That's all private property,
So,
that's the difference.
Are we good? I mean, I took the word Ononda off the sign so that they could always be used at any park. Just said park boundary, please respect our neighbors.
Yeah, I think that's
So then
good.
we have a supply of,
yeah.
I'm not saying we have to use 250 of them at
I mean,
Ononda.
but it's nice to have this map in front of us. There's
Right.
3 major locations
Right.
where our current trails
Right.
come very close,
And
so we
we
can
say
identify where to put
to
them.
the Brenoviches, we say,
We
where
did
would
it.
it be helpful to you that you see people and I just think we need to
We'll
reach
have
out
that
as a
there.
good neighbor to,
But we
to
should
them.
reach out, I mean, I don't wanna go out pounding signs.
oh, no, I told Lindsay that we would
Yeah.
be more than
Do
happy
that.
to walk
Yeah.
and volunteer and go up and do that. So, yeah,
We'll all do it together.
so
And it shows good.
I'll let you decide
Yes, yes.
those different designs. We'll go back and forth. Are you
Okay.
guys good, or do you want to be in on the design of the sign, or good with whatever we come up with?
Park boundaries.
Well, it just said, please respect our neighbor's property,
Right.
you know? Dan, I did talk with Kevin Alvani about outlet access.
Yeah.
So he said he got on Encore and it looked up and down to find a spot to get on the outlet, and he said, really, maybe
did
there's
I.
some city along the solar up in there somewhere. But I mean, the goal is down by the lake to get on, isn't
Well,
it?
Yeah, couldn't we talk to the property owner or the Big Lots Plaza at some company in New Jersey? Say, hey, could we just use just a small path from the parking lot to the outlet? And then just a little launch area there. I mean, that parking lot is widely
Right.
unused.
Is that, that's in the town too, right?
Yeah,
that's in the town.
we-
That's
We
definitely
should
in the town.
definitely
You
do that. I
can't-
wonder if we could draft a letter to them to say, you know, we're thinking about this.
Yeah.
would we be agreeable? We'd be responsible for cleaning. First of all, it's a crap hole anyway, right there. There's garbage everywhere.
We could be bringing customers in there potentially.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right. Well, that's what everybody, I mean, that's where Luke always goes duck hunting from there. you
Right.
know?
Yeah,
They park
They're
there.
putting
and-
it in, they're putting it in there anyway.
right.
Right.
Yeah. So if we could get that, that'd be great. I mean, all we have to do is get, I mean, I guess the town board would have to approve it, but
Yeah.
we would love to do that. That's. a
Which
great
we could
idea.
write a letter of,
Just-
interest or something.
Right, just ask them, is this a possibility if we, we maintained it? And I
Had
don't
just a
know,
lot, right,
have
maybe
prior-
somehow connected to that water trail. So
Yeah.
Kevin said the last time it was cleaned out was about 20 years ago,
Stop
and
it.
actually the local towns all chipped in together and they hired a company to clean it out. I said, well, what about just going down with your kayak and a chainsaw in one
Chainsaw,
hand?
yeah.
He
Right,
didn't,
You do with the trees you cut,
he didn't
though.
reply to that.
Yeah,
Right, that's the
You have to
problem.
get all
They
that-
cleaned it out like for real.
You
But
can't
like
leave all that. in there.
excavator?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, permission from landowners and,
It just needs, there's a couple of trees too, maybe, two
yeah.
or three that just need to be cut.
They could be gone by now. You should have seen some of the streams
Oh,
around.
Yeah,
my.
yeah.
We
So,
could dry it out and use it for firewood for Onondaga.
yeah.
Oh, wait, we'll talk about that in March.
so yeah, so I mean, maybe that's something that we can continue on. Can you get underneath 5 and 20 in a kayak?
I believe so.
On the outlet.
Yeah,
Because that opens up the post office property and the
Yeah.
credit union property
I
and
saw that, yeah.
Sure you can. That's that bridge, right? The
Right.
bridge
I
is
didn't know
right-
how much of a culvert it was.
Oh,
or
no,
how much
Well,
it's-
it
it's
is.
a
depends on
bridge.
It depends on
Well,
how high
yes,
it is.
yes, you're
How
right.
short you
right.
are.
But even at the very highest, you could get to that in a kayak.
You're gonna be
The
tight.
one up by the post office.
You're gonna be tight. I've seen it up there. I'm like, ooh, that's really high.
I mean, but the thing is, once you put your kayak in, where are you getting out? You're paddling back.
So you have to paddle.
Pedal back,
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And
I would
that's not
hate to just send
unusual.
people
That's
down
not
there and then they're trespassing to get out.
There is a little bit of a, do we have easement from the town, the roads? That we could use, there's on that count, that Stalton stall, there's a little bit of a dip off from the road next to the creek. That you could put park a couple cars
Yeah.
there, actually.
The other thing Kevin mentioned was maybe talk to Ontario County Pathways, but there's no place to park by their bridge,
Yeah.
you know, where it
Oh,
crosses.
yeah.
Well, that's terrible.
So-
I mean.
oh, there's no
it's
parking
private
there at all.
property on both
Right.
sides of it, so
Right.
you have no way
We
to
could
get
use some of
there.
our signs.
Yeah, that's a long way down.
But, so that's, what I mean, he goes, looking at it, he goes, I don't have any other good options, but,
Yeah.
So
so.
Big Lots is the best option.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Parking
Okay.
that'd be
right there.
perfect.
March 1st, the CIC meeting, is that, the team meeting?
Yes.
I sent that out. All the project teams are invited to. Not so much what we did down at Onondaga, more of a,
It's more, it's just geared
Informational.
to
here's,
those focuses.
so
Yeah.
I had shared in one of our meetings a list of like kind of the main things we're working on. I was just gonna share that same list at that meeting.
What time is that, Mark?
So 6:30, I think it was
I'll have to double
6:30
check, but
instead of
that's-
6
That sounds right.
on the 1st.
You're looking for us to attend?
So all volunteers are invited. I don't know, there's breakout meetings. I don't know what the purpose of the breakout meetings were.
I'm not sure. Sorry. Next time I'll have more information on that.
6 o'clock, you said?
I think it's 6:30 for some
I can
reason.
check my
Um,
computer.
So, but anyway, that was what my plan was, just to share kind of that we think a priority is the Auburn Trail. We think another priority is keeping working on with MRB on what's the plan for continued maintenance and the things that Lindsay started doing. Of course, continue work, finish up what can happen at Motion Junction. And I think we need to keep investigating a dedicated recreation specialist if we want to expand our program. So those were the
What is
things.
the staffing for recreation?
Right
Parks
now.
and Recreation?
So the city currently runs all those programming, so we don't really hire for that. The
Okay.
city is in charge of that. So I do believe as a town, there is a need for a recreation specialist of some sort, so
Yeah.
we can run our own programs.
If we were-
Concurrently with the
Yeah.
city, advertise the same to city and town, but that way we would have more control over all of
So
it.
Dennis did a lot of that, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then he retired and we didn't do anything.
It wasn't
If
replaced.
they
do anything.
yeah.
If the town decided over February break to have a kids program,
Mhm. that person could. run
There's,
that.
there's nobody at the town that really would be assigned to planning, organizing, running, doing any of that.
So I think
Except
if
it would end up
there's-
on Lindsay's plate.
It would, and you know, my goal is to have someone who could work and dedicate their time to that. There is a need. Right now, I'm sorry, our recreation program is non-existent. I mean, we're developing the senior rec program, which it's a slow process. It's going okay, but we have the opportunity to do so much more. But we need someone dedicated to doing that with the
Right.
ideas and the background, having
Right.
those
Who
experiences.
oversees the lifeguards? and all
I
that
do,
stuff?
I do.
So
Yeah, so
you're
I take
doing
care
all
of
that.
lifeguards, our gatehouse and our rangers, which I
see.
think went pretty well last year. I do want to leverage some of our volunteer opportunities that Karen was suggesting with some seniors. In addition, you know, just to communicate to residents and just be that extra person out there. But I do think there is a need, and I do feel that if this committee would really like to move forward with that, we need
Okay.
to have a recommendation to the
Yeah.
board that is a
priority.
priority.
Yeah.
Got it.
And that had come up at the September meeting down at Ononda
Mhm.
on the priorities out of the big group, and somehow it got lost.
Yes.
You mentioned, you updated everybody on 2022 recreational programming.
Yeah, I'll send that out to everyone,
So,
so you guys can really look at it.
Movie concert night update. I've contacted actually, there's a new guy in Bloomfield that has a 20-foot TV screen. The guy that we used originally sold all his stuff at the start of COVID, and he hasn't returned calls. I wondered, hey, who'd you sell it to? But
Yeah.
this guy's from Bloomfield. He has bounce houses, he has movie screens, ROC
Who's the city
bounce
use?
houses. They don't use anybody. They had their own setup for like I don't know what,
Small inflatable.
Oh,
I'm envisioning something like you could buy.
yeah,
You know,
we don't want that. I was thinking
so,
we could
yeah.
leverage that. yeah.
This guy was great. He said, I'll have a projector. I'll make up, if you have sponsors, I'll make a presentation that'll shine on the screen. I'll play
That's nice.
music.
That's nice.
So he goes, I'll do all that stuff. And his quote was what, like $700 to do
Oh,
two
geez.
bounce houses and a movie screen? So,
Yeah, that's,
It's worth a shot. It's worth trying,
Yeah.
right? If
Yeah.
it doesn't work
Yeah.
out, then we just do something
Right.
different next year.
I also, the only food truck that I've heard back from is, well, that's not true. I heard back from Finger Lakes Barbecue, the same one there, and I haven't heard from Macarolin. I haven't heard from. There's a wood-fired pizza place that I contacted in the city. There was a taco place that said they don't come to Canandaigua.
It was one of the messengers the other day.
Was it? And there was one other food truck that I contacted.
Just that
was I gonna do
article.
scoops?
So you were gonna do scoops in the seafood
Mr.
one.
Mike's, yeah.
So,
Yeah, I haven't been up to.
full.
How many do you envision us having though?
We were thinking 3.
Good.
So,
We didn't have
Lines
enough
are
at the concert.
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was,
But, you know, I agree, but so if we go one more, it'll take the lines down. Maybe we need more, but if we get 100 people versus 400 people, you
Right.
know what I mean? So,
oh, I don't think we go any more than 3.
no, I agree.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I-
It's,
no,
it's
I
3
think
too,
that's-
I mean,
Yeah, no, that's
three,
fine.
three and,
in an ice cream.
And
ice
an
cream, right.
Yeah.
I think that would be perfect.
I did reach out to Jeff Hanford at Uptown Tire. He would be interested in sponsoring. I thought about our sponsorship, and rather than say per event, do we make this the Outhouse Park Summer Activities, and then you are one of 3 sponsors? Instead of sponsoring one of the individual events, just list all 3 on every one of the events.
What would you charge?
Same thing, $300. Each group would pay $300.
Seems reasonable.
So,
Almost
Yeah,
pays
they
for it, right?
just list what they get.
Pays
No,
for
I
bounce
was-
house.
it might, no, well,
Oh, that
but
was-
300, that would be 300 for,
Well, it's 900.
Do 3
so
sponsors,
Three
right?
sponsors, $900, so it pays for sponsor, it's paid for the bounce house, movie theater, and maybe
Well, now you
almost one of the concerts.
you gotta pay the band, right?
Almost one of the
Yeah.
concerts.
so.
Yeah, I think.
But if anyone else has, I haven't talked yet to Eric Zimmerman of the office. I sent a thing to the committee that said if anyone has any other ideas, reach out, so. But
Republican committee.
They're on.
they're in,
Oh,
They're in,
already. That's
so,
one of them, okay.
but. And that's all, any other that we missed? This might be the longest meeting ever.
I know, I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry.
You missed hockey practice, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Any? So let's digest this a little bit and maybe within a week or so, we'll touch base and,
Sounds like if we could Zoom, we could just get
Yeah.
those guys in, and we can meet here and Zoom them in from
Yeah.
here too.
Yeah, one
but
day.
I really would like to walk up there and just get a feel for,
The green spot.
I'm not, I don't know if we want to be parks, rec and camping. It just seems like it's an overwhelming idea to me and I do a ton of camping. I just,
So I do have people call,
oh, I know.
you know, and asking
Yep.
about tent sites, but I think to your point, maybe that looks right now like too much.
Yeah,
So we offer a few.
5 tent sites. I was thinking,
Well, to
Yeah,
me, the
it
devil's
is
in
a
the
lot.
details with that.
Yeah.
I look at that and I'm like, you need 3 park rangers
Yeah.
24/7 because you are gonna have,
It's a lot of area to cover.
and then
Lot of people.
you have
Yeah.
a lot of rules that you have to enforce.
I think we've been very
But I think
lucky.
that's, but I think that's okay. I
No,
think,
no,
you
I'm
know,
just, but
Yeah, but you know, Randy, take a
If
take
you
a look
don't
at
have somebody-
Lime Kiln
I know,
campsites,
but
there's
you don't-
300 people,
but if
they
you
have
don't
one
have-
person on.
But if you don't have somebody enforcing that no alcohol policy, these people are up there in campsites, that's gonna get ugly. And that's gonna get
But-
ugly for those neighbors to the north, and they're not gonna be
But
very
they,
happy.
they do have
Sound,
somebody,
not-
they do have somebody that drives through the park
Right,
and has the ability to contact, if there's a party going on. They can stop and threaten. If nothing happens, they can contact the local police.
Mhm. which
They
they're
live on
happy
site.
to report.
They're there at 3 a.m. They're in their cabin that you could go and knock on his front door,
right.
you know?
Well, and I mean, the lakeside cabins, you don't think there's drinking going on there?
But it's, this is pretty hidden.
This
You know
to
what I
me,
mean?
this to
But
me.
sound is everything.
This to
Who
me
cares
says-
what goes
I know-
on?
I know he
Right.
says families, this to me says teenagers, early 20s.
Go to Ananda or to Ontario County Park.
That's what that says.
Ben and Luke have been down there.
That's what that says to me. That says to me, young kids away from the congestion, and everything.
Yeah,
It's not that far away if you get that. I mean, obviously we're phasing that in. That's the last phase.
I honestly think we've been lucky at Onanda over the years, not having somebody there more full-time with. I think people have been pretty well behaved down there and maybe it's just because that isn't a big open spot and I know there's been issues and I'm sure you pick up beer cans out of
Right.
the garbage can every time someone rents, but
We did have a big issue after the first concert that was held at CMAC last summer.
people that had gone down after,
Oh,
Yeah.
it was a mess.
yeah. And who got the phone call at midnight? You?
We all did.
Yeah.
Jeff
The
Winter.
attraction to the
Yeah.
park that I can hike up in there and not see anybody walking around and it's just completely, natural. And then, once we start putting in roads and sites, you just can't unring that bell. Now it's a different park completely.
I do like better access to some of the spots are there. I'm not so sure that I want that road all the way up. And I know it's a lot, that's a small part of the park. And when you look at the grand thing of it is a small part.
Right. It's way down at one end.
It is. It is. But I'm with Mark. I want to go walk it and see. I want to go walk it and see and say, where exactly is it in my walk?
Walk before Friday.
I have to go, 'cause I got one.
I know.
Yeah. Well, maybe tonight. We better be out there.
All right.
Andy, thank you.
So Lindsay,
Thank you.